Until last week, there was an announcement, an answer press conference, a course, so our parliament, a minority side, and NPP MPs, over a year 60, a year 63. That is a metal monte, say, or my endorsing a year doctor, a year Bawumia, going into NPP presidential race, just a mokono. Now, a year poor Adom Otchere, Ababe, cut deep on a year this particular a year endorsement. We're analyzing several NPP primaries, who to lead the party. Otchere in Nemo 63 now, my endorser Bawumia, Otchere saying, is it good for him? Is it bad for him? What is it? The influence of Nano and saying, pardon much, I could deep on it. Canada Compreko Japan, Bawumia, would you win Hong Kong, aspirants in Nano, Otchere Semo, Ewa Hono.
So, we're told some 63 MPs, NPP MPs, have thrown their weight behind Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I don't know what the significance or importance of this is, but Paul, I know you're very passionate about issues like, I'm not talking about just the NPP issues, but politics general. Yes, he still has it.
Exclusive.
Because technically he would declare.
Exclusive, exactly. He was declared. He's hedging a bit too.
And not care where the chips, may fall. But maybe at some point he will.
No, he must do it today. He must do it today.
So,
I don't know what this preventing from.
So Paul, 63 MPs, big deal?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have a vote. I'm not a delegate, so I don't have a vote.
So out of 80, what? 87, isn't it?
Yeah, out of 87, that significant amount of people, that is it's a significant number.
Okay.
And I think that is a feather in the cap of Dr. Bawumia's campaign for this election. The Electoral College, however, is over 200,000 people. So if you have 67 declaring for you, it's not a reason to sit on your horse and be complacent. It perhaps indicates that you should work harder. 200,000 people are going to cast a ballot. Every ballot is going to count as one. Majority of the ballots are going to come from the polling station executives. But it's true, these MPs can control influence within their sector. So you are talking about 67 constituencies within...
You mean 63 constituencies?
63 constituencies. You're dealing with 276 constituencies, and you're going to be dealing with about 40,000 polling stations. So this is 63. So in terms of the raw numbers, the real numbers, you may think that if you take 63 out of 200,000, it's not much, but it's politics about influence, okay? Yeah. So they may have some influence in their constituencies. That is yet to be gauged. What kind of influence they have in their constituencies is yet to be gauged. Because these MPs are coming from, the last election they held was a national election where they were voted for as MPP candidates. They were not voted for as candidates within the NPP primaries. For you to use the last election to correctly determine the level of their influence within those constituencies. The election that held was a general election. So the NPP people went out to vote for them. Whether they maintain that level of influence over their constituencies is still yet to be seen. If the party had done what they normally do by going through polling station elections and then constituency elections and then regional elections, then perhaps you would have been able to gauge their influence. But as it is now, you really can't gauge their influence, except to say that you have some very nice people who are declaring for Dr. Bawumia, likes of Kojo Ponkruma and Asensu Boakye and all of these are people who are well-liked and quite nice people. So that will be a feather in the cap of Dr. Bawumia. But this is going to be a very difficult election, and it's going to be one of the closely contested elections of the NPP. Some people even think that it might go into a second round. I don't know whether it should. I don't think it's good for the NPP if it goes to a second round, but that's what some people think. It's better for the NPP if it doesn't go into a second round. And it's going to be closely contested. The obvious candidate against whom everyone is polling is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, because he's the incumbent. He won a handsome 60% in the last election, and he led the NPP to the last election. There have been many theories, some of which will not be settled until the next election, about why the NPP lost, whether it was his fault, whether it wasn't his fault, whether it's a combination of some of it being his fault and all of that. All of that is part of the process. Kennedy Japan comes up as the second in command, given that he came second in the last election. Kwabene Japan has joined the race and he was a big supporter of Dr. Bawumia. And
but that is part of my choice. And you will see quite deep on a year and seminal 63 a year MPs, or say 63 MPs, or mobile influence, or more constituents, and answer saying, watch church and semini na ever honor.
Perhaps he was a big supporter of the NPP. So it's Osei Duchum and Brian Champon. So Dr. Bawumia has these three people who are now competing against him. I was excited with the meeting Nana Akufo-Addo held for all of them because it appeared that the campaign was degenerating. And in politics, you really can't stop that. You're going to have all these things happen because you are running as presidential candidate, but you have many supporters and your supporters are fighting with another person's supporters. It's like that. It's going to happen where there's no clear, real dominant leader. So I was happy that Akufo-Addo put his foot in and said, look, hold your horses. This is an internal contest. Let's come have breakfast, talk to each other. When the supporters see the optics will work on them and it will help. And I can see that since Monday, you've had a minimal vitriolic campaign from both sides. And so, yes, that worked. I think everyone is in a hurry to see the 1st January come and go because it's difficult to even gauge. Polls have come out. Musa Dankwa's polls have consistently showed Dr. Bawumia leading and perhaps winning. And there's a new poll, a guy interviewed him, Evans Duya, who has polled that Kennedy Japan is leading. Soon after he did the poll, social media had text messages between him and Kennedy people suggesting that the whole poll was cooked by the Kennedy campaign. The Kennedy campaign suggests that the Musa Dankwa poll is cooked because Musa Dankwa has a good relationship with Dr. Bawumia. All of that is going on. I quickly want that to end. Okay. And so when January 31st comes and then they have there's an obvious elected leader of the NPP, the campaign can really start. What I'm waiting to see is where Felix will stand when the Julius Zebra and Asiedun Ketia, now Professor Jenano Pokwajeman, Idrisu Haruna and all of that. The other day we were here and Felix was playing down what I said about Haruna Idrisu talking about the 2 days later, Haruna Idrisu must have been watching the program. He said, oh, yes. Paul was right. He didn't quite mention my name. But I was actually asking for an interpretation of it and emphasize that Vice President Professor Jenano Pokwajeman is a viable candidate for the process. Haruna Idrisu is saying that knew that Johnson Asiedun Ketia is running for the show. He also knows that Julius Debra is running for the show. He's clearly indicating his preference for the vice president. I'm guessing that Felix, the kind of work he does in the office of it's going to be very difficult for him to look at the vice president if she's interested in running and say that I'm not going to support you. Okay. Ofosu Ampofo is a very important political actor that many people don't know, haven't studied. I don't know what I write about, but I have studied him from Accra Technical University. I used to go to the campus there and to look at his mobilization. He's a very powerful political operator. He held Fantiakwa away from all the important UP people traditions and delivered it in, I believe, 96 and 2000. He's a very strong guy. It is widely said, and I believe it, that he is the McCoy behind Professor Jenano Pokwajeman's campaign. With him is Alex Segbefia, whom you can't rule off. And I studied Alex Segbefia in 2008 when he promised me that he was going to change the face of the NDC, and he did. So there's major things coming up. It's going to be exciting more because they are in government. And so 31st January must quickly come and pass. Okay. And I think the best decision that Akufo-Addo took for the NPP was to advise that they should hold the contest early and get it out of the way. Right. So there's a lot of politics ahead of us and we are going to be very excited. So apart from me declaring my stand on the NPP issues, because I'm not a delegate to vote. Okay. So whatever stand I declare is inconsequential. Okay. Felix Ofosu is the government spokesperson, must declare his stand between his chief of staff, who he sees every day, his vice president, who he sees every day, who he thoroughly loves. And perhaps he can link and help us to understand what President Mahama is thinking. All right. And then we get to
I know Paul Adom and some of the two about NP 63 almost all my endorser Bawumia. Any NPP race what details on its analysis what dropping in Dowona TV. I'll comment section.